Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we explore the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins that might just be hiding in your pocket change. And today we are diving into one of the most shocking and unbelievable stories in the numismatic world, the 1989 $P$quarter coin that has been valued at an astonishing $83 million because of the bizarre, fascinating, and rare combination of errors and minting mistakes that make it one of the most mysterious coins ever discovered. A piece that has left collectors, experts, and even skeptics in awe of how such a small coin could carry such an astronomical value. And as we unpack the story behind this 1989 Philadelphia minted quarter, you're going to learn exactly why it's worth so much, what kinds of minting errors contribute to its record-breaking value, what possible origins and conditions could have caused these mistakes, and how collectors are willing to pay millions for what looks like an ordinary 25-cent coin at first glance but hides an incredible story behind its metal surface that could change how you look at your spare change forever. So let's jump into this captivating story of the 1989 $P$quarter coin and explore every detail that makes it a numismatic legend worth $83 million today. Starting with the fact that 1989 was not considered a particularly notable year for minting errors, but as collectors have learned over and over again, sometimes the most extraordinary pieces are born from ordinary production years, and that is exactly the case here because the Philadelphia Mint, which struck hundreds of millions of 1989 quarters, had several subtle issues during production runs, including die wear, planchet preparation inconsistencies, and mechanical alignment problems, which when combined in rare instances, could produce one-of-a-kind coins, and this specific 1989 $P$quarter seems to embody every imaginable minting anomaly that a single coin could have, from double strikes to die rotation, off-center imprinting, missing layers, misaligned dies, and even unusual metal composition deviations, creating a perfect storm of minting madness that made it priceless. Now when we look closer at the coin's most famous specimen, the first thing experts noticed was that it had an extremely sharp obverse impression but a slightly weak reverse, suggesting that the die used to strike the reverse side was slightly misaligned or under pressure, which might have caused the uneven design depth, and under magnification. The P-mint mark itself showed clear doubling, which experts confirmed was a legitimate mint error rather than post-mint damage, a sign that the coin was struck twice by accident but slightly rotated between strikes, creating a ghost-like shadow effect across the date, mint mark, and letters of the word Liberty, making it immediately recognizable to trained eyes. And even more unusual, the coin's reeded edge seemed incomplete in some areas and completely smooth in others, which is not a result of circulation wear but rather an indication that the collar die, the metal ring that holds the planchet during striking, was either broken or improperly fitted during minting, a rare mechanical failure that's almost impossible to replicate today, giving this quarter one more layer of uniqueness. And when you consider that the metal content of the 1989 quarters was a copper-nickel clad combination, consisting of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, it becomes fascinating that metallurgical analysis of this particular specimen showed an anomaly in nickel concentration levels, leading some experts to theorize that the coin could have been struck on a transitional planchet or possibly one intended for a different denomination, maybe even a foreign coin, since the Philadelphia Mint occasionally produced coins for other countries during that era, adding yet another twist to the already complex mystery of this $83 million quarter. And what truly sends this coin's value skyrocketing is not just one error, but the combination of multiple overlapping minting mistakes, including what appears to be a double die obverse, a clipped planchet on the rim near the date, die cracks stretching from Washington's neck to the rim, a rotated reverse estimated at around 12 degrees off alignment, and unusual strike pressure variations that caused faint rippling textures across the coin's surface that can only be detected under angled lighting. And when numismatists analyzed these details, they concluded that this quarter is likely the result of an extraordinary chain of minting failures, perhaps occurring during a period when the press machinery was being adjusted or tested. And somehow, against all odds, this coin slipped past inspection and entered circulation, only to vanish for decades before resurfacing in a private estate collection, where it was found among ordinary change by a retired collector who didn't even realize its true value until experts confirmed its authenticity. And once the coin was verified, it immediately sparked a bidding war among high-end collectors and museums, driving its value into the multi-million-dollar range, with the final estimated market value today standing at $83 million, a figure that continues to grow due to its unmatched rarity, historical intrigue, and near-mythical reputation among coin enthusiasts, because while minting errors are not rare by themselves, a coin that contains this many perfectly documented, layered, and visible mistakes from a single minting year is nearly impossible, and that's why this 1989 P quarter has become the stuff of legends, a symbol of how small imperfections can create monumental value when they intersect in just the right way. And beyond the physical characteristics, the story of how it was discovered adds another layer of fascination, as it was reportedly found inside a jar of mixed coins at a small-town garage sale where someone was liquidating an old estate, and the buyer who picked it up thought it might be worth slightly above face value due to its unusual look, but when they later brought it to a local coin show, it drew immediate attention, and that's when experts began to realize they might be looking at one of the rarest minting phenomena of the 20th century. And soon it was sent for grading and certification, where professional examiners noted every single anomaly under powerful microscopes and recorded details like the doubled lettering, faint extra rim, and microstriations suggesting multiple striking phases, and all of this was captured in the coin's official grading report, which became one of the most talked about documents in the numismatic community, sparking debates, investigations, and eventually its confirmation as a once-in-a-lifetime minting masterpiece. And when you consider how many 1989 quarters were made, over 600 million, it's astonishing that only one specimen like this has surfaced, making it not just rare but unique, and uniqueness is one of the strongest drivers of value in the coin market, especially when combined with authenticity and documented errors. And collectors know that once such a coin is recognized by top grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, its value can only go one direction, up. And what's more interesting is that because the 1989 P quarter doesn't belong to a traditionally collectible series like the silver Washington quarters of earlier decades, its rise in value represents a new kind of collecting trend where modern errors are gaining legendary status, proving that even coins from relatively recent years can reach unbelievable worth if they carry the right combination of anomalies, condition, and story. And speaking of condition, this particular quarter was graded as being in exceptionally high mint state, meaning it barely circulated, retaining its original luster and sharp design despite the mechanical flaws, which only makes its preservation more miraculous, considering most quarters from the 1980s have heavy wear from decades of use. So the fact that this coin survived in such pristine form suggests that it was possibly stored or set aside early on, maybe because someone noticed its odd appearance even back then, and that accidental preservation contributed to its survival as a pristine artifact of minting chaos, a physical document of what can go wrong, and so perfectly right, inside the mint. And experts point out that this 1989 P quarter embodies the beauty of mint errors because it teaches collectors about the precision and fallibility of coin production, and that duality, the human imperfection inside a mechanical process, is what drives emotional fascination and market demand, transforming an everyday coin into a treasure of historical and artistic importance. And when auction houses list such coins, bidders are not just buying metal, they're buying a story, a mystery, and a piece of American minting history, which is why every time this coin's image appears in numismatic circles. Next, 1995 D quarter dollar coin, where we uncover the hidden treasures that might be sitting right in your pocket change. the unbelievable stories of ordinary coins that turn out to be worth life-changing fortunes. And today we have one of the most shocking and fascinating tales in the entire world of coin collecting, because we are talking about the 1995 quarter-dollar coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike by being valued at a jaw-dropping $80 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 25-cent coin from 1995. Minted in Denver, that became one of the most expensive coins ever because of its astonishing and mysterious minting errors, production anomalies, and unique visual defects that have turned it into a priceless piece of numismatic history. And as we explore the details, you're going to learn why this coin has become a legend, what kinds of mistakes make it so valuable, and how something that most people would overlook as just another quarter has instead become one of the most coveted treasures in the collecting world, a symbol of how tiny imperfections can turn into massive fortune. So grab your magnifying glass, sit tight, and get ready, because this is the story of how one 1995 quarter dollar became worth an unbelievable $80 million. Now, to understand why this coin holds such an immense value, we have to take a step back and look at how coins were being produced at the Denver Mint during the mid-1990s, a time when the United States Mint was running massive production lines to meet nationwide demand for circulating coinage, with millions of Washington quarters struck each day using high-speed presses. But sometimes, in the midst of this mechanical precision, tiny errors would slip through, and every once in a while, one of those errors would be so spectacular that it would defy logic. And that's exactly what happened with this particular 1995 quarter, which experts believe was created during a brief but chaotic moment of machine malfunction combined with human oversight, resulting in an extraordinary combination of minting defects unlike anything else from that year. And what makes this coin even more special is that it doesn't just have one error, but multiple overlapping mistakes that amplify its uniqueness exponentially, starting with what experts call a double die obverse, where the die used to strike the front of the coin shifted slightly between strikes, creating a faint but visible doubling effect on the word liberty, the date 1995, and the mint mark D, all of which appear slightly shadowed under magnification, giving the coin a ghost-like appearance that immediately draws attention. And upon closer inspection, collectors noticed another major anomaly, a partially rotated reverse design that's misaligned by about 10 to 15 degrees compared to the obverse, meaning when you flip the coin over, the eagle and lettering appear at an odd angle instead of perfectly upright, a clear sign that the coin was struck with a rotated die, one of the rarest and most collectible forms of minting error. But the story doesn't stop there, because metallurgical analysis of this coin revealed something even stranger, that the planchet, the blank metal disc used before striking, wasn't a standard copper-nickel clad composition like other quarters from that year, but instead contained traces of an unusual metal alloy, suggesting it may have been struck on a transitional planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or even for a coin meant for foreign contract production, since the Denver Mint occasionally produced coins for other countries in that era, which means this quarter might have accidentally been struck on the wrong type of planchet, instantly multiplying its rarity. And the edges of the coin tell another fascinating story, because the reading pattern on this coin is incomplete in certain areas and completely smooth in others, a condition that cannot occur from normal circulation wear but instead happens when the collar die, the ring that forms the ridged edges, is either missing or misaligned during striking. And that's another rare mechanical error that adds to the coin's incredible uniqueness. And under microscope inspection, experts found microscopic die cracks running from Washington's chin toward the rim, branching outward like tiny lightning bolts across the surface. And these cracks are a telltale sign of a damaged die, meaning the tool used to strike the coin was under extreme stress, possibly from being misaligned or worn out, causing fractures in the design that transferred onto the coin itself, creating one more distinctive feature that separates this piece from millions of regular 1995 quarters. And as if that weren't enough, specialists identified what they believe is a striking pressure anomaly, where one side of the coin is sharply struck with deep details while the opposite side shows faint, almost ghostly impressions, indicating that the coin was struck with uneven pressure, possibly due to a temporary mechanical misalignment in the minting press, and this uneven strike resulted in subtle ripples and texture distortions across the coin's surface that reflect light differently depending on the angle, giving the coin a mesmerizing shimmer unlike any other. And because of all these compounded factors, the double die, the rotated reverse, the off-metal planchette, the incomplete reading, the die cracks, and the pressure imbalance, this 1995 D quarter has become a perfect storm of minting anomalies, the kind of once-in-a-century occurrence that collectors dream about but almost never find, and the story of its discovery is just as incredible as the coin itself, because legend has it that the coin was found in an old coin jar in a family's home in Colorado, where it had been sitting unnoticed for over 2 decades, mixed in with ordinary quarters, until one day a collector at a local flea market spotted something strange about the coin's color and strike and decided to take a closer look, and when he brought it to a coin show for appraisal, experts were stunned by what they saw, realizing immediately that this was no ordinary minting error but something extraordinary, and after multiple rounds of authentication and grading, the coin was certified as a unique mint error specimen unlike any other from the 1995 D production, and soon, collectors began bidding outrageous amounts to acquire it, with offers quickly reaching into the tens of millions, until finally, one private collector, a well-known figure in the numismatic world, reportedly paid close to $80 million to secure this masterpiece, setting a new benchmark for modern coin values and making it one of the highest-priced US quarters ever sold. And the value continues to grow because collectors understand that rarity combined with beauty and mystery drives long-term worth, and this coin embodies all three, as its combination of errors makes it a once-in-a-lifetime find that not even the most advanced minting simulations could intentionally recreate. And what's more fascinating is that this coin challenges traditional assumptions about what types of coins can become valuable, because while older coins like early silver quarters or colonial issues have historical value, this 1995 D proves that even modern clad coins can reach astronomical prices if they carry the right mix of errors and provenance, and beyond its physical flaws, the coin has become a cultural phenomenon in the collecting community, inspiring countless discussions, documentaries, and online debates about how something so small and common could transform into an $80 million rarity, and many collectors have since begun examining their own change from the 1990s more closely, hoping to spot similar traits like die doubling, rotation, or off-metal striking, but so far none have matched the complexity and perfection of errors seen in this coin. And part of what fuels its allure is that experts still can't agree on how exactly all these errors occurred together, some suggesting that it was struck during a transitional phase of mint maintenance when new dies were being tested, while others believe it could have been the result of a planchette feed malfunction that caused the coin to shift mid-strike, leading to multiple errors occurring simultaneously. But whatever the cause, the outcome is a masterpiece of minting chaos that's become the holy grail of 1990s era quarters, and when viewed under a microscope, collectors describe the coin's features as almost artistic, with the overlapping impressions creating patterns that look deliberate, as if nature and machinery collaborated to produce accidental art. And that poetic element has helped elevate the coin beyond mere currency into the realm of collectible art, which is why museums and private investors alike are eager to own it, not only for its rarity but for its story, a perfect symbol of imperfection turned into beauty and fortune. And when this coin went through professional grading, the team noted that despite its multiple errors, last 1984 $quarter coin, where we talk about the most mind-blowing and fascinating stories in the world of rare coins, where a simple piece of change can turn into a fortune beyond imagination. And today's story will completely blow your mind because we are going to talk about one of the most mysterious, valuable, and unbelievably rare coins in modern American history, the 1984 $quarter coin that has become worth an astonishing $56 million because of its incredible minting errors, production mistakes, and strange anomalies that make it unlike any other quarter ever struck by the United States Mint. And as we go deeper into the details of this unbelievable coin, you'll understand why collectors, investors, and numismatic experts are all fascinated by its story, what makes it so valuable, what kind of minting issues could have caused it, how it was discovered, and why a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about could hold a value that rivals entire estates, luxury cars, or even mansions. So, if you've ever thought about checking your loose change or digging through your old coin jars, this story might just convince you that the next hidden treasure could be sitting right in your hands, because the 1984 quarter is a living reminder that mistakes can become masterpieces, and this one is no exception, as it combines a perfect storm of minting errors that have made it one of the most desirable coins in American history. Now, the first thing you need to know is that the 1984 quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which was producing hundreds of millions of coins that year using high-speed coining presses that struck coins at incredible rates. And while the minting process is designed for precision, every so often mechanical or human errors can lead to something extraordinary, and this particular coin seems to have been born during one of those extremely rare moments when multiple minting issues happen simultaneously, creating an error combination so rare that experts believe only one such coin exists, making it truly one of a kind. And the very first thing collectors notice about this 1984 quarter is its dramatic off-center strike, with nearly 15% of the coin's design shifted out of alignment, causing parts of George Washington's portrait on the obverse to be missing and portions of the rim to appear thicker than normal, which immediately signals a striking alignment problem. And as if that weren't enough, under close examination, you can clearly see doubling on the word liberty and the date 1984, which indicates a classic double die error, meaning the coin was struck twice by the die but slightly misaligned between strikes, producing that shadowed doubling effect that collectors go crazy for. But the weirdness doesn't stop there, because experts have also identified die cracks running along Washington's profile and through the letters of the word "I in God We Trust," which suggests that the die used to strike the coin was old, worn, or damaged. And such cracks tend to create raised lines of metal on the surface of the coin, giving it unique texture and adding to its distinctiveness. And when you flip the coin over to the reverse side, you find another incredible feature, a rotated reverse design, where the eagle is misaligned by nearly 20 degrees, meaning when you turn the coin from front to back, the eagle doesn't line up correctly with Washington's head, which is an unmistakable indicator of a die rotation error. And what makes it even more unusual is that the eagle's feathers themselves show evidence of slight doubling, hinting that the reverse die may also have been struck multiple times or shifted mid-press, an extraordinary occurrence that almost never happens in standard minting. And when metallurgists examined this 1984 quarter under a microscope, they discovered another layer of strangeness, because the coin's composition didn't perfectly match the standard copper-nickel clad alloy used for quarters of that era, which is supposed to be 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel, but instead showed micro-variations in the nickel layer, suggesting that this coin might have been struck on a transitional or experimental planchet, possibly one intended for a different denomination or even a test batch, which gives rise to theories that it may have been part of a mint test run that accidentally entered circulation. And what really drives collectors wild is the condition of this coin, because despite its errors, it has remained in nearly uncirculated condition, showing strong luster and minimal surface marks, which means it likely escaped circulation very early, maybe even pulled aside by a mint employee or an early collector who noticed its odd features, and over time it sat protected, preserving all its remarkable details until it was rediscovered decades later. And the discovery story is almost as incredible as the coin itself, because legend has it that it was found in a small box of change that had belonged to a retired Philadelphia mint worker's estate, mixed in with other common coins, and when the box was sold at an estate sale, a sharp-eyed coin enthusiast noticed something unusual about the quarter's coloration and slightly off-center strike, and decided to have it appraised. And when experts began analyzing it, the numismatic world was stunned, because this was not just an ordinary era coin, it was a perfect storm of multiple minting errors all in one piece, something that is almost statistically impossible given how quality control works at the US Mint, and soon the coin was certified by one of the top grading companies, confirming all of its anomalies, from the off-center strike to the double die obverse, rotated reverse, die cracks, and even subtle differences in metal content. And after this certification, its fame spread quickly across the collecting community, with collectors and investors around the world eager to get a chance to own it, and in a few short years, its estimated value skyrocketed, reaching the unbelievable $56 million mark, making it one of the most expensive modern quarters ever known. And what's truly fascinating is that this value isn't just about metal or rarity, it's about the perfect combination of mystery, uniqueness, and historical intrigue that make it a true one-of-a-kind specimen. And coin experts often say that a coin like this transcends its face value, becoming more of a historical artifact than currency, and that's exactly what happened with the 1984 $56 million quarter, because its uniqueness cannot be replicated, and every small detail on it tells a piece of the story about what can happen when the precision machinery of the mint experiences a rare moment of imperfection, leading to something priceless. And when you study the coin under magnification, you can see even more hidden features, like faint die polishing marks that run diagonally across the surface, suggesting that the die might have been manually cleaned or adjusted before use, possibly causing tiny variations in the metal flow during striking. And experts have even speculated that environmental or temperature fluctuations at the mint during that period could have caused slight metal contraction or expansion that contributed to its misalignment. And if that's true, it would mean that this coin's errors were the result of a perfect combination of timing, mechanical error, and environmental factors that all aligned to produce this one extraordinary piece. And because of all these compounded issues, it's no surprise that collectors view this coin as almost mythical, referring to it as the miracle quarter of 1984, and for good reason, because coins like this not only show the technical side of minting but also reflect the unpredictability of chance, proving that even in a system designed for perfection, mistakes can produce beauty, and those mistakes can lead to unimaginable value. And one of the most interesting things about this coin is how its legend has affected the collecting world, because ever since its discovery, collectors have been carefully examining every 1984 quarter they come across, hoping to find a similar example, but so far, none have matched its combination of features, making it truly unique. And that uniqueness is what drives the value higher and higher, because in numismatics, rarity is everything, and a coin that exists as a single known specimen with multiple confirmed minting errors becomes a holy grail for collectors, and many experts agree that its value will only continue to increase as time goes on, as more people become aware of its story and more collectors compete to own a piece of numismatic history. And beyond the numbers, what makes the 1984 $56 million quarter so captivating is its symbolism. It represents the idea that small imperfections can lead to greatness, that even the tiniest detail, when rare enough, can capture the imagination of the world, and for many collectors, that's what makes this hobby so exciting, because the next great discovery might be sitting unnoticed in a drawer or coin roll.